Hi, now I don't know if you know about Francois Bernier, but in 1684, he published an essay called New Division of the Earth by the Different Species or Races of Man that Inhabit It. This is considered the first published post-classical classifications of humans into distinct races. Now, before I continue on, I want you to listen to the next words I'm about to say. It is based on his own extensive journeys and observations and on information from eminent Mughal courtiers who had witnessed the events at first hand. Bernier published this brief essay dividing humanity into what he called races, distinguishing individuals and particularly women by skin color and a few other physical traits. The first race included populations from Europe, North Africa, the Middle East, India, Southeast Asia, and the Americans. The second race consisted of the sub-Saharan Africans. The third race consisted of the East and Northeast Asians. The fourth race were Somni people. The emphasis on different kinds of women beauty can be explained because the essay was a product of the French salon culture. Bernier emphasized that his novel classification was based on his personal experience as a traveler in different parts of the world. Bernier offered a distinction between essential genetic differences and accidental ones that depended on environmental factors. He also suggested that the later criteria might be relevant to distinguish subtypes. His biological classification on racial types never sought to go beyond physical traits, and he also accepted the role of climate and diet in explaining degrees of human diversity. Bernier had to be the first to extend the concept of species of man to classify racially the entirety of humanity, but he did not establish a cultural hierarchy between the so-called races that he had conceived. On the other hand, he clearly placed white Europeans as the norm from which other races deviated. The qualities which he's attributed to each race were not strictly Eurocentric, because he thought that people of temperate Europe, the Americans and Indians, culturally very different, belong to roughly the same racial group. And he explained the differences between the civilizations of India, his main area of expertise, and Europe through climate and institutional history. By contrast, he emphasized the biological differences between Europeans and Africans and made very negative comments towards the Somnis of the coldest climates of North Europe and about Africans living in the Cape of Good Hope. He wrote, for example, the Lepons compose the fourth race. They are small and short race with thick legs, wide shoulders, and short neck, and a face that I don't know how to describe, except that it's long, truly awful, and seems reminiscent of a bare face. I've only seen them twice in Danzig, but according to portraits I've seen and from what I've heard from a number of people, they're ugly animals. The significance of the Bernier essay is that his work will go into history following centuries of people, cultures. This would be the exact same essay that the world itself comes to read to understand where they stand in society. Now, I don't know if you were listening closely when I read that essay summary of Francois Bernier, but let me tell you what it actually means. What it actually means is that a French traveler, I'll give him his qualifications. He is a physician. So a French traveler / physician named Francois Bernier decided to travel. He then took it upon himself to document the people he saw across the countries and continents he traveled upon. He proceeded to write down in a notebook the descriptions of these people, the color of their skin, the height, their facial structure, how they looked, how he perceived them. He then proceeded to rank these people and how he thought they should be in a hierarchy. Not as a society, but as he thought should be in a hierarchy. Wrote an essay. And then this essay will be the same exact essay that society follows to this day when it comes to racism and white supremacy. In this essay, he put white people at the top. And then when it came to describing the African Americans, he described them as animal-like. Hello. How are black people described as of today? We're described as beast, animalistic, thugs, ghetto. It matches the exact same essay that Francois Bernier wrote in the 1800s. This same exact essay has not only went around countries, but continents. It has made its way almost as significant as a document with value. And as he admitted that he wrote this essay from his own experience, from his own feeling of how he encountered these people. People took this as something as a substance and say, we are going to follow this structure, this hierarchy system in the world. Because a physician, I don't think you understand what I'm saying. A physician said a black person was an animal, so the whole world believed a black person was an animal. A physician looked at a white person and was in awe with a white person, and so now all of a sudden the white people of the world were the people of power. That is how racism started. This is how racism continued throughout history because of an essay of a physician. He's not even an academic scholar, but a physician wrote how he felt about people. And the way he described our features, our melanin, our physical attributes, determine centuries down the road how people would treat each other, how people would discriminate and segregate against each other. And the most important part about all of this is a man made it. Racism didn't just come out of thin air. It didn't just poof and then now it's in everyone's neighborhood. No. Francois Bernier wrote a letter, essentially what it was, wrote a letter expressing his hatred, expressing how he felt, and it became history. A very important piece of history that still runs through the veins of this earth to this day. Because of a man expressing that he thinks black people are animals and ugly and are tall, lengthy, muscular people, that is all we are seen as. He not only confessed to only writing this essay on physical attributes of people he met, but he also confessed that he blatantly did not want to go any deeper than physical attributes. He didn't judge these people on if they were good people. He didn't judge these people if they were educated, if they were kind, if they were smart, if they had work ethic, purely on physical attributes. And if you don't believe me, please search up Francois Bernier. You will see it for yourself. From this one man's essay, we decided to segregate, to hurt, to abuse, to kill to speak down on people because of the skin of our color. We followed a Frenchman. We don't even know if he was a good physician. We don't even know what type of physician he was. We just know that he wrote an essay about race, which changed history forever. And because of the same essay, we walk around as holding this man's values, holding this man's opinions into our hearts. Looking at our neighbors, looking at our friends, looking at people that walk down the street from us and thinking, wow, that one person is better because they're white and they have blonde hair and they have blue eyes. Historically in film, white people were on film. If you were a black person on film, you had to be the help. You could not have the main role. That didn't start happening until just recently, by the way, that you could actually see a black person in the front screen and actually body it. Same thing comes with music. White people control the music. White people control the restaurants. White people control the bank. White people control this. And then I started to think about every single thing else that was created. Like male supremacy, like capitalism. I don't know if you're like understanding what I'm saying, but you do realize we were the ones, human beings, society chose to have to work for money. We decided to make up this thing called currency and have people slave over it to survive. People like to blame it on the government and all this stuff, but who made the government? We did. People of society, we made the government. We made the laws. We made every single thing that is wrong with this planet. We made it happen. Climate change. We are living on a planet that is currently burning. I don't think you understand what I'm saying. Burning down to the point where at one point, one day it will be inhabitable, where we will eventually all die out. And it's all because of the things we created. We were the ones that decided to look at a man and say, wow, he's stronger than me. Wow, he's better. Wow, he's more powerful. Genetically speaking, yes, men are stronger. But I'm talking about in the sense of when it comes to CEOs, when it comes to being the owner of companies, when it comes to being the breadwinner and stuff like that, we as humans decided men would take that role. In Francois Bernier essay, he said the exact same thing at the bottom, how men are more superior than women. He wrote that essay and the attempts to shit on POC, African American women. In the first line, he talks about how African American POC women are disgusting. He then proceeds to talk about how white women are way better than the African American woman. He then proceeds to talk about how men have control over all of women and are powerful than all women, and women are at the lowest bottom of the totem pole. Not only is it white people at the top, white men at the top, then you have white women at the top, then it's black men after that, and then under that it's black POC African American women. It matches exactly how we feel in society as of today, right? How black women, and I know you've heard this because I've said this on this podcast, and I know millions of other black women that feel the same way. When it comes to society, black women feel like we're at the very bottom of the totem pole. You know why you feel like that? Because that's exactly where you were put at. Then above us is our black men. Because yeah, even though they are African American and have melanin, the reason they are above us is because they still have the strength and they're still a man. And only because they're a man, they have that respect of being higher than us, than females. But even though that might make you feel better, it doesn't, because you're still at the bottom. Only until recently, when sexuality came into play, gay people, LGBTQ people were put at the bottom amongst us with us black women. I go throughout life and people keep saying, I don't see race. I don't know what racism is. I don't believe in male supremacy. I don't believe in capitalism, and all this stuff that you talk about is just matter of opinion. Well, I'm literally bringing you an article that is sufficed in history that a man, Francois Bernier, wrote an essay describing how he felt about human people, describing how he wanted people to be ranked. And we stupid ass motherfucking human beings took his goddamn words and just said, okay, well, this is how the world will be run. If you want white people at the top, then they will be at the top. If you want black people to be at the bottom, well, they will be at the bottom. And we will not question it. We don't care that you are not an academic scholar. We do not care that you are somebody. You are just a physician. And because you are a doctor, we're going to listen to you for the next 500 fucking years. This is what makes me mad. Because we decided to make white supremacy, male supremacy, and capitalism. We as humans decided that this is, yeah, actually, let's let men run shit. Actually, let's let white people run shit. Oh, yeah, I love the idea of actually working 30, 45 hours a week to make a living. I love the idea of having a government and laws and racism. Oh, I love the idea of having slavery. That's what we did. That's what we created. And then because of the results of that, we live in a society that's so fucking dysfunctional, that doesn't work, that doesn't communicate, that doesn't love each other. We live in a society that we're all trying to make it to the top because of how divided we made ourselves. And people don't realize is that if you don't realize this today, you're never going to realize it. We as human beings are fucking selfish. Do you think when we were building the government, when we were making the laws, when we were making the Constitution, do you think those people were making those things in the thought of us as people in 2022? No, because you know what happens? You create for when you are alive on the planet at that time. You know why people don't want to fight for climate change? Because I hear it all the time. I go on Instagram, I go on the internet all the time, and I read comments saying, well, it doesn't matter because by the time I'm dead, the world will still be inhabitable. That's something that the next generation or the next century has to worry about, but not me. We only think about the time that we will be on this planet. And so we act and we make moves and we make decisions and we make detrimental opinions and information and movements for when we are just alive for the days we are here. We don't think about the people that are going to come after us in the next century. We don't think about those people. Because we're so fucking selfish. And because Francois Bernier did not realize who would have read that essay, because he did not realize how popular it would become and how much of a staple it would become in history, that we still follow that shit to this day, we screwed ourselves over because we listened to a physician. We listened to a man tell us we are less than. We listen to a man tell us that men are better than women, but not equal. We decided to make capitalism. You do realize that we could have lived on our earth where no one worked, where everyone could enjoy the beaches, where we could have bartered as food, we could have been farmers, we could have had peace, we could have had equality. You do realize we could have lived on an earth where there was love, right? Genuine happiness. But we as humans still decide to practice these bullshit made up supremacies. We still like to fucking enslave ourselves into thinking that white supremacy is still around. Male supremacy is still around. Capitalism is still around. We still like to practice. If you listen to me, if you just decide a man isn't better than me, white people aren't better than me, I don't want to work for money. You don't think the world is going to have to change if an abundance or if a collective of people decide? And I'm talking about a huge portion of the world decides, fuck this shit, we're going to change this today. It took them years to build the government. It took them years to write them laws and write the Constitution and all that stuff. But do you not think we as human beings do not have power to rewrite the shit that we are talking about? Tell me, do you really not think that? Because if you do, you are still enslaved. You are still in shackles in your mind. Because of this fucking idiot, for centuries, black people sat in fields picking cotton, bleeding, being whipped, being killed, being raped, and still to this day we are being shot by police officers. We are told we are not enough. We are told we are worthless. We are told we would not be anything. We are labeled as uneducated. We are labeled as ghetto. And it's all because of a fucking essay. The essay that carries the blood of many. That carries the enslavement of many. And you don't understand it. I'm not lying to you. You can search this up yourselves. We follow a man that, one, is no longer here, but two, decided to make something out of his own opinion. It wasn't fact. He admitted he didn't even talk about if the people were good or not. He did it because he just wanted to. And so now, as of today, we still look at his work and find value in it and still follow and practice it. We look at what we created and we say, okay, it's been here for many of years, so it must not be broken, so I'm not going to fix it. We as humans, it's getting to a point where I feel like y'all just want to live in these practices, suffer in these practices, so you can continue to complain about them. You need to combine, come together, and decide, do you want to go the rest of your life following a man's essay? Or do you want to go the rest of your life being the person that you was always meant to be? You cannot let somebody tell you you're not great because they don't like you, because they think that the color of your skin ain't shit. You cannot be a woman and think that a man has power over you because of the muscles and genetics he has. And we as a society keep going into work. We keep fighting for this thing called currency when it's something that we made. If you wanted to destroy it, if you wanted to restart, we could. Because even though we're selfish motherfuckers on this planet, if we wanted to decide that we don't like how things are running, how things are going, how life is treating us, how people is treating us, how corporation is treating us, then you change it. Then you come together and you change it. That's what you do. It doesn't matter how big it is. It doesn't matter if it's as huge as the government. It doesn't matter. We built it so we can destroy it and we can start over. Y'all keep thinking things are too big for y'all. Y'all keep letting these things close your mind and make you small and make you into the things that Francois Bernier wanted you to be. You are not that animal. You are not that ugly, disgusting thing that he described us as you being. You are not. You can rewrite the hierarchy system for the next century if you wanted to. You can rewrite how male supremacy goes. You can rewrite capitalism if you wanted to. That's what I'm trying to put into your mind, that everything human made you can redo. You can fix. That's the power we as humans have, is that we can fix whatever we did. But y'all not ready for that. Because for some reason, y'all still like living in these dumbass practices that were made hundreds of years ago.